Ooh,
Okay.
she has a very deep voice, that
Heavy,
lady.
heavy stuff. No, what you say about having written all your life, it just tells me it comes from your spirit. You're not writing to publish, or you're not writing for that reason. It seems like you're writing because it's an expression.
Yeah, I write as part of my, I don't know, everyday moments of inspiration, but just for myself, basically. I don't usually, for many, many years, I am 78 years old now. And I think I started writing when I was a teenager, but I never shared it with anybody. And most of the things that I wrote then, God knows where they are. Not even I kept them. So it's something that Baba was a big stimulus in my life. He, the conversations that I had inside because of him prompted me to write more, as I was a bit perplexed and touched by the whole relationship. Still are, so it prompted me to write. So that's, you will see. I mean, I hope that you like it. It's something that comes from my heart.
That's the important thing. Yeah.
And I mean, this Saeed, he's very good. I'm going to show you. This is the book that he helped me with the design. This is Saeed's cover. Uh, yeah, he's a very good at doing those kinds of things. So it's called Soul Writer. But I was amazed when this came out. And we made we became for a little while there, sort of like my publicity manager, and we had a couple of presentations, and he made a couple of presentations that were very impressive. Actually, I was more impressed by the presentations than by the readings. Uh, so, I, when are you coming down, Said?
I'm going to come soon now because everything's lifted, right?
Well,
Is the center
gradually,
open?
it's gradually. Still, the staying in the cabins is not open, but it's gradually. But I think by September everything is going back
Yeah.
to normal.
I have a key to the back gate anyway.
Yeah, this was a very strange year.
Yeah.
Very,
No, I
very
definitely,
strange.
I'm ready to come back.
Yeah, I'm
See
looking
you.
forward to seeing you.
Yeah. Arsenio's very modest about his poetry. His poetry is sublime. But anyway,
So, Sayed, when did you first hear Arsenio's poetry?
he sent me a poem and I was so blown away by it because I love poetry and I love creating kind of montages with poetry. And it was so lyrical and contemplative. So I just said, plus the fact I was just charmed by the old Spaniard there, the old Puerto Rican. And I said, we got to do something. And we did. And we had a good time doing it. We hit that book into 3 cantos and kind of remixed the whole thing and then did a slideshow at the Circle of Friends. Didn't we do it twice, Arsenio, or just once?
I did this once a long time ago. I can't remember, before COVID. Certainly before COVID.
Yeah.
But I don't know when.
Well, Arsenio, we're very excited to hear some of your poetry, and I don't know how much you are planning to read for us, but I think it would be wonderful if you chose something and introduced us to your poetry.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think that I'm going to start by saying what I said to you before, that this is something that I do with great awe, that you people are listening to me. As I said, oh, Franny is there. I know Franny, and she knows Julie, my wife. Julie doesn't listen to my poetry, so I'm never sharing it with anybody except with captive audiences like you. When they offer me this opportunity, I cannot miss it. So I'm very happy and grateful that you did that. But I would like to start by reading you what I think defines the way I see my relationship with Baba, whom I came to know in 1970 to meet his photograph in a very strange way. It doesn't. I will not tell you the whole story, but that's when I first became connected with Meher Baba. Was in June of 1970. So this is what I wrote, which defines my relationship with him, I think, what I feel. And I'm going to put my glasses because I can barely see.
Okay, well, you're getting your glasses. Let's all mute ourselves so that it comes through nice and clear. Okay?
Okay, so the title of this poem that I want to start with is called Rubbish Wagon. Can you all hear me well? Okay, so it says, beyond mind, beyond the constellation of aggregated elements of form that evolve with time, out of that impulse to love for the sake of joy, beyond the music of the concert and the howling winds of the storm, beyond the serenity of your silence and the impetus of my vices, you are always with me, in between and during all ups and downs, like an unforgotten yet never learned morning song. It's not my will that causes this unwitting attachment, much less any virtue or right to grace or steadfastness. I'm just that last rubbish wagon attached to your train. I'm not holding on to the hem of your garment. Instead, you're grabbing me by the tail of my pain. I'm not ever letting go. There you go. So I guess that defines my relationship with Baba. He really literally grabbed me and he doesn't let go. Even though I have tried, he doesn't let go. So because we have this COVID year and the center really recently opened for strolls on the grounds, I went one day to walk in the center, which is incredible after a year of not being able to do that. And we gathered a group of friends, all with our masks on and keeping social distance, which was a requirement at the time, around the barn. It was a gorgeous day. I've never seen skies so blue like that. It was like, and I remember that the image that I had in my mind, and I don't know if when you were kids, I used to have a toy that was given to me in Christmas, which was called a Viewmaster. It was a little thing that you would click like that, and it would change the slides, but it would be in 3 dimensions. So as a young kid, looking at that was incredible because you could see actually things in 3 dimensions in the thing, and it was beautiful. So that's the feeling that I had that day. I was sitting there with these friends, keeping social distance. We were talking. And this poem is called Found. Looking askance at the dance, I saw forms sculpted in tridimensional motion of color. Light was framing contours, sound was providing ambience. A blue cotton white puffed roof cascaded in light over green life. Energies in atom and wave intermingled, communicating feelings of heart, accumulated like reserved wine in body caskets divine. Camping out by the side of an old harbor of barn that flooded all stories of man since the ocean began to spill over land. It was perhaps paradise found in a lovely afternoon. Oh, I tell you, it was so beautiful to be back in the center again. It was amazing. Everything was like amplified, like in a Viewmaster. The day was beautiful, but there it was incredible. And going back to this painful relationship, which is also, there's lots of humor, I feel, in the relationship with Bob. He's always leaving this little card in the most unexpected circumstances to show you that he's around, even if you think that he'll never come back. So I have this written, one thing happened to me. It's called An Imaginary Conversation. Having seen me, you have not seen me at all, he said. You stated serenely as I imagined myself stuttering something subdued by your masked hidden beauty. And I even missed the mask in the dance, as only later I stepped in by happenstance. I just heard about your invisible shadow projected. I just heard sounds given as your pretended name. Still, I was so thirsty that to me, the echo of your echo, the mirage, was oasis well water. So now I look at the image of the mirage you were not, and remember the name that you did not have, and read the words you never pronounced, inviting me to love you, to embrace you in that space you never occupied. And I say, how? And you say, now. And I say, who? And you say, everyone. And I say, when? And you say, all the time. And I look puzzled at your paper image, at those not seeing me at all eyes, two-dimensionally shining to me, and I can only utter a silent, secret plea. I swear a smile is drawn upon your non-existing unseen face. Like grace, it wrinkles the paper, and I feel that everything is okay.
Bravo.
but, but, and then in this continued relationship, which is more complicated than the one I have with my wife, and I love my wife. But tell you, I issued this morning prayer. It's called a morning prayer. As music falls in a mist of morning and unfulfilled dreams, let me synchronize my sequestered being, captured in this form and personality, with the amazing vibration of life and existence that permeates all this around. Let me see with clarity the only one love that dreams itself as many to love, so that this dream bubble dissolves into the ocean. I suspect that this present state is inevitable, as well as its dissolution, that it is part of the love flow, that therefore every particle of form plays a role in this never-ending symphony of beauty. And from this intimate remoteness of not knowing, I wish two things. First, to be able one day to consciously go beyond suspicion and see this only one love as being really me. And secondly, that while I am being dreamt as this separate me, I fulfill wholeheartedly my role in the only once lost dream. This is my morning prayer. And the one that I want to read now is really a word of thanks for we all are whoever we are. We are so many things inside. And then we relate to each other. Some people that we know very well, some people that we just know en passant. But this is life. At 78, it becomes a long journey, even if it is not as intense as somebody else. But I have to say thanks for all that happened to me during this time. And this poem, Gracias. Gracias. You were a breeze that held my hand as I walked wondering why, as a child, marveling at all that stood by. A breeze that wafted me in unknown nostalgia in all street corners sublime, provoking an inner search without seeking in an innocence unknown to mind, inviting a meditative plea to understand the fear that paralyzed me, not knowing the cause of the ephemeral nature of life, the why. Within the barrage of hormones, instincts, precepts, and rules clashing in the arena of growing up, while interacting with others in role and love, discovering pain and healing, caresses, some that mended broken flesh, others that lit a fire to quench. Mind perplexed, heart confused, news, history, ideologies, devotions, passions, limitations, comparisons, a body, a somebody, self-contained, so many outside, converging, distancing, appearing, disappearing, like drops in the window pane in a continuous rain. Then, that night by the ocean shore, that light everywhere, that unfoldment feeling from stone, the hint of revelation, the certainty of one continuing field, the angst of separation. The song with the ancient, beautiful face of light, conveying the loving feeling, everything is all right. Afterwards, trying to remember a mindless moment beyond words or time, trying to go back there, somewhere, somehow, while love in others was so close yet so remote, and love within was bursting, so unknown. And one day that face, looking at infinity, intense in photographic image, framing a saying, promising a new life, even if there was no one to live it. Those eyes again in the light, followed by embrace waves, born in your embrace, swashing me to your places where I felt the fragrance of your fragrance and lost myself in the arms that lost themselves in you. Thanks. Gracias. Nobody lost like that. And I want to read you something that you all have shared. It's called A Room Called Mandalay Hall. A room called Mandalay Hall. Rustic white walls, ancient songs and words simple. Bird calls rode the breezes inside, bringing enchantment of forest and countryside. Time evolved in galaxies serene, as love stories unfolded supreme, and tears rolled down cheeks of maidens and young men in conversation with the one who interpreted silence. The room was absolute. Smiles genuine as roses. Presence was so certain that there could be no poses, just divinity in elegance of authenticity. A sense of belonging nowhere else, of being home on a Sunday morning. Sometimes, at its best, mind, in friendship with heart, drifts to having memories of those moments sublime, and the rest becomes paraphernalia. Then you lay your back against those walls of eternity and listen to the story of the universe in a room like no other. Yes, sometimes I go back to that hall of carpeted truthfulness, that assembly of the witnesses of the most beautiful last sighting. I find a corner, a soft cushion, and forget myself as I sink into rhythms of honesty, purity, humor, and light so bright and unique that they do not exist except in that sacred realm of love, given in total abandonment and surrender. Oh,
Very beautiful.
The hall of carpeted love.
yes, that place, that place, it's such a magical place, amazing. Ah. Then, every day you wake up, we all do. That's why you're here. My office, which is where I am talking to you, it's just outside of my bedroom in the backyard. And uh, so in the morning early, I come here and check on my email and write some stuff and whatever. And I always look at the day. And for me, it's a marvelous thing that it's every day is every day. So I wrote this one of those days. It's called Just Another Day. Just another day. Should the heart come out in little jumps of joy, beating in rhythm to the awareness of this marvelous phenomenon called another day? Probably. But we do tend to take things for granted, such as life and new days. I force myself to escape the ho-hum cloud and peek out and remember the so many days lived and give thanks again for this uniqueness, this light, this awareness, these concatenated moments of life, and bow down quietly, unknowingly, inadvertently, like trees do to the morning breeze. It takes a bit of my breath and soul away when to read these things. Beloved being, I see you coming and going continuously in a delirium of mind, in a fiction of time. I don't know if you're a mirage. You are so intimately close that although you come and go, you always remain. Amid constant illusions, your universe, brilliant galaxies, stories, history, opera, and theater, an eternal instant. Sometimes silently, I spill over your skin and make a nest. Songs are then dreamt, and like countryside springs, yellow daffodils burst in the hidden attics of my heart. There are no reasons or consequences. Everything then becomes magic, essence, feeling. You tell my story and I tell yours. And I don't know if I'm the actor or the character portrayed, and you are the creative producer of the play. But all memory is full of you, like a rose garden in bloom. I imagine you. I dream you. I miss you in all lived moments. Everything is nothing without you, and nothing is all with you. My interest in science, because that's where my career lies, keeps me reading all of these things about cosmology and the nomenclature and the Big Bang and the stars and the galaxies and the Hubble. And so I was fascinated by particles, those tiny little particles that came out of the point of what Baba would call the most infinite unconsciousness. So I sang to them. They ran, inspired by the urge to conceive beauty. They spread all over the place in search bounciness and music. The love was unimaginable. Every pulse was beating like hearts in the energy fields as unconsciousness woke to embrace all knowing. Shapes were formed into forms and densities. Beauty, like butterflies, flew in cosmic settings. Moons populated space and mind. It was natural to want to dance the tango of life. It was an impulse from beyond to love, to merge. So I fell in through the other's eyes, made up of so many strokes of the painter's brush, and drowned in the music of their voice, remembering the joy of that smile. And just stopped thinking. Words frozen, moment collapsed in one point of stillness. I stayed enthralled, entangled in inner spaces, reflecting tender light of moon, and yet I never knew. But you want me to stop, you tell me, because I do get carried away since you are a captive audience. But this is what inspires me to write. Is the my my awareness when I was 4.5 years old. My mother tells me because I cannot remember. I was they were cruising in a new car. This is back in San Juan, Puerto Rico, where I was born. And the car parked alongside another car. And my mother said that I asked her, oh, because I saw a little kid on the other car, in the back window, like I was. So I said to her, why is it that I am with you in this car and not with that family in that other car? I was always amazed at this business of being alive. I've always felt that it was like a crash landing. You know, it took me some time to recover and find out what was going on. I still don't know, but at least now I have strong suspicions. But at that time I didn't. So I'm thanking her, giving thanks for the dream. Poof! I am conscious again like many yesterdays. It is indeed a long, long chain of these daily genie apparitions like magic out of the lamp of mind, form, and circumstance. Here, once more, I am, defined by predicates, immersed in existence, full of wants and thoughts. Oof, now time has passed. Form is fading, mind is rambling, memories are now crowded, waiting to be remembered. Not much anticipation. Wants have now mellowed into sighs of waiting. It's been a long conversation between dreamt and dreamer, and the complaints about not meeting your standards have intensified. Yet, yes, this angst of waking from your blessed dream. But let me say, thanks for dreaming, you in me and me in you. It gives me a chance to serve you as an imperfection, like a crumpled tube of paint you use in your palette to create the exquisite colors of your masterpiece. Because after all, it's his dream. So this dream is also beautiful. Oh, in secret, in secret of secrets, beyond reach of mind and existence of time. It's been too long now, well beyond pains and claims. So silently you have wrapped your impossible arms around in a forever cocoon on this creature doomed by whim. To teach me to love you, and instead I have learned to love myself and things pertaining to me. Even your image has become a collection rather than an avalanche of presents. I can only imagine in words out of those songs of butterflies already in flight, the ecstasy of embracing you, the being of all beings, the light of all lights. I can only imagine that I imagine in a secret of secrets. You and me, being with me, I thought I was with you. Because you said you and I are one, it sounded all right to me somehow. I might have felt it, but I did not understand. You said understanding came later, in the middle of the game, which is why it cannot solve the riddle that it was a dream to wake up knowing it all, and that was all was always the same. Today, lost in surround and this character, I think I am. I remembered when what you said, and I stretched this being me while thinking that I was with you. And I tried embracing you in imagination, knowing it would not work this time, because imagination also searched later with mine. And you said the only thing that was there before was love, because love is always there. It dreams itself to wake up. And do not try to imagine or understand. You cannot. Only love, more and more, and still get more. And you will be me, and you will be me. So, Diana,
Yes.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you various things and I will translate for you so that you get the sound. something in Spanish. It's very short.
Yes, we wanted to hear something in Spanish. Thank you.
It's called Ángeles. Ángeles is angels. And I've always heard, and it always, it's the very first time being raised a Catholic. I never, of course, touched that. And later on, I became an atheist. So I also didn't think much about angels. But I found out that from readings of Baba, that angels, in order to become realized, they have to become human. So this is about that. It's called angels, ángeles. I will read it first and then I will translate it for you. A veces se cansan los ángeles de ver tanta luz desde la luz y al vernos perdidos en la sombra, disfrutando escasos alumbramientos, luchas, esfuerzos, sentimientos, fermentados por los extremos que van añejando el albor del amor adentro, hasta que una noche se hace oscura la oscuridad y en crisálida infinita amanecemos en siempre luz. Y en sus tiempos sin tiempo los ángeles suspiran por sufrir y morir amando para dejar de ver la luz y serla. A veces los ángeles se cansan y nacen como tú y como yo. Sometimes the angels get tired of seeing so much light from the light. And they see us lost in the shadows, enjoying little flashes, struggles, efforts, feelings, fermented by the extremes that are creating the vintage wine of the love inside. Until one night, darkness becomes really dark. And in an infinite cocoon, we are born in forever light. And in their times without time, the angels sigh. They want to suffer and to die, loving, so that they can stop seeing the light and become it. Sometimes the angels get tired and they are born like you and I. Very well.
Your poetry is so beautiful, Arsenio. We were wondering if it's available. Are the books available at Cherry R?
Could you repeat that? I'm a little bit deaf.
We were wondering if your poetry is available
It
either
is.
at Cherry R?
Yes, it is.
Wonderful.
Is this a public paid public advertisement? Yes, it is. It is. Actually, all of the books are there in Cheddar. All of the books mean 3 books.
Okay.
One of them is in Spanish and English,
Mm-hmm.
and the other 2 are in English. So, yeah, it's they are there, and anyhow, it's like maybe I will read you a last one, so that we close it with. This is one of my personal favorite ones because I have to find it in the book here. It is dedicated to a good friend of mine who I think are also a good friend of all of us. You will know who it is when I read this. It's called The Song of the Ancient Mariner. Strong in that form or the root of thought, supple and suave as a rose petal, yet more tempered than any metal, his sailor eyes of ocean longing, his hands salty from caressing seascapes, his joy for our sake hidden in a yearning marine, so we could develop the longing to sail the seas. He was a keen fisherman, casting out a net made of stories of seamanship, always singing that ancient song of deep sea, inspiring our hearts to be free of ourselves. Those moments of quietude, so still, in the company of that ancient mariner, etched themselves deeper, deeper than it seemed, in those moments of intimacy sublime, when all reason and rhyme rested in those carpeted floors of soul languidness. Now and then they still bubble up, while we make sand castles by the shore to play and to dream, and they make us see horizons within, and long to sail someday, whenever in our deepest memories the notes of the simple song of that ancient mariner are played again. It was dedicated to Edge.
Thank you so much. It's been so lovely hearing your poetry read by you. I think we should all unmute and express what we would like.
Thank you, Arsenio.
Thank you very much. Thank you, listen, my dear. This is the first time that I have an audience so captured for, what is that, 40 minutes. I'm going to try tomorrow again with Julie at breakfast. And I tell you, she would not last 2 seconds.
I remember you capturing me in a rickshaw to buy beautiful saris and dresses for Julie. We were
Yes.
our butts off with her though. So you're into capturing people. You even put an ad up that you wish to capture somebody to come to the
Yes.
bazaar. And I put my hand up straight away. So I'm quite into being captured and captivated by you. And to leave a lake in the middle of India, you name it, man. I'm in.
Arsenio, hello, this is Rosalie. I remember your mother, Lolita, very fondly. Would you say a word?
Yes. I hear a voice, but I don't see a person. Is that because you are some Rosalie?
There is Rosalie. Oh,
Rosalie. Ah, there you are.
Yes.
Of course, Rosalie, I have not seen you in a long time since the center has been closed. Are you still in Myrtle Beach?
I've been on Earth the same time as you have, Arsenio. I just turned 79 today, so yeah.
Oh,
It's Rosalie's birthday.
woohoo! You don't look a day over 78.
Wow.
Happy Baba birthday to you, dearest Rosalie. May beloved Baba bless you all your days. Happy Baba birthday to you, dearest Rosalie. May your heart ever sing beloved Baba's praise.
I remember Lolita.
Yes, my mother.
I was coming to the Pilgrim Center, and she was coming out the door, and she went into the stance of a flamenco dancer. She just raised up. It was so beautiful. Yeah.
She was the actual connection that I had with Baba. Although I heard about Baba before she did, physically. She had a dream about Baba in a Martiti Day of 1969. And she told me, and I, at that time being an atheist, poor thing, I just told her that it was a beautiful dream with sarcasm. And then in 1974, when I went to India and with her, she identified the people, which was Jal Dastur Mehera,
Mm.
and a painting that was inside the room, the living room of Baba's house in Merasa. And I realized how she had been the one that brought the sea. Mothers are like that. She gave me a great gift. She gave me a great gift.
So you went to India with her as an atheist.
I was a Catholic until I was 13. Then I had a
Yeah.
little struggle with the priests. Then I tried to talk. I asked God for help, but He did not reply. And that's how I became an atheist. I realized that the what we call that, the bureaucrats were not uh, very convincing. And my problem with that was that they were dismissing the Indians and the Chinese and all of the other people that were born before Christ. They were going to a very strange place called limbo, and I couldn't understand that. So that was my since I didn't understand, and I was really a devout Catholic. I was even an altar boy, but I couldn't understand that. At that, and I also could not understand uh, this thing about the bad temper. I mean, Jesus was a nice guy. He always was my friend. I like two things he did. The thing of the stones that are against the adulteress in the corner of one little town, and the turning of the water into wine. I thought that was amazing. But you see, the Jesus in my Catholic school was never portrayed like a person having a sense of humor.
Yeah.
So the one thing that really struck me when I first started reading about Baba uh, and was his sense of humor. Because I said, how can you create? I mean, it was all punishment and hell and whatever. I was scared. I was deadly scared about everything. I was a little boy. You cannot tell a little boy that he's going to go to heaven because he looks at little girls. This is absurd. Or whatever they look at, girls and little boys, whatever they look at. But I mean, life became like an ordeal. But you see, that's why I'm so thankful. That's what I started to write, because I have to say the things to get them out of me, because it was really a big, and even when I was an atheist, I was living in the Caribbean. I was living in Puerto Rico. And I'm an atheist teenager now. So I am 18, 19 years old, and of course, drinking wine, having parties and at night, at that time in Puerto Rico at night, we would go to the beach, and the skies, oh mamma mia, there were so
Mhm.
many stars that I thought, well, I'm an atheist, but I couldn't understand. See, the scientific theories that I had wrapped in my mind to explain this, I felt like speck, nothing, because of that immense beauty. So I was always with this thing, big load on my chest. And until Baba came, he took it away.
Mm.
I mean, he brought other stuff, including the fact that I now have to be against my wishes and my wants and my desires, somebody else, and sacrifice myself, whatever that means. But the thing that he communicated was so uh, real. And I'm talking to you all are here because of that. So we all know what we are talking about. And then you don't know, it's not a mind thing. It's one of those aha moments. It's not a mind thing. It's a heart thing. I mean, so thank you very much for giving me the chance of letting my heart out for a little while. Really, Jai Baba, thank you all of
Thank you, Arsenio.
Jai Baba.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
it?
you so much.
You tell me when I'm free to go.
No, you're
You're free to go. Would you?
no, you're not free to go. We want to hear one more.
Is that
One more rickshaw ride. We want to hear one more.
one more? Okay. One more. This is the freebie. Okay.
You're muted, Arsenio.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. A shared dream. Soul writer, I suspect you're right when you say this is your dream and mine. Yet, I'm so attached to the dream characters that I pain inside when I interact with my unknown selves and witness your invisible presence inspiring all. It has become a wild thing to follow this creativity of yours, these games of solitude supreme. Deep inside, I trust and have faith, somehow, that all will be rectified upon awakening. And do not doubt the beauty of your setting or your infinitely beyond an Oscar quality script writing extraordinaire. But sometimes it hurts, my love. Jai Baba.
Yeah, Baba. Beautiful.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Thank you all.
Jai Baba. Thank you.